Randall Hughes with GodGlorified.com, and we're commenting on our Bible reading for March the 4th, in which we've read from Numbers chapters 18 and 19. And here we've read of how that God determined the children of Aaron, the sons of Levi, that they would keep the charge of the tabernacle and that they would be able to do service in the tabernacle of the congregation, and that they would receive of the various offerings. They would receive that as their pay, their compensation. They would receive of the tithes. That's how they would be paid. Verse 24 of chapter 18, but the tithes of the children of Israel, which they offer as an heave offering unto the Lord, I have given to the Levites to inherit. Therefore I've said unto them, among the children of Israel, that they shall have no inheritance. And so the inheritance they received was the portion of the offerings that were brought to God. And that was how the priests were sustained. And of course, in the New Testament, there's a verse in Corinthians where Paul says, muzzle not the ox that treadeth the corn. And he's saying basically that you should, if you're ministering, you should be paid by the ministry, is what he's basically saying. And so that's how they were compensated. They were given the 10th part, and then they would also tithe on what they received. And so chapter 19 then speaks of the red heifer, the ashes of the red heifer that God had ordained for them to cleanse themselves with, and some of the process there, how they would slay the heifer and take its blood and sprinkle the blood before the tabernacle 7 times, and then it would be burned with fire, and the various process, how that all took place. And a man that is clean would gather the ashes and take them to a clean place, and that would purify the children of Israel. We then read about the being unclean after touching a dead body. This is one of the ways to prevent the spread of disease, germs. That way you're not making contact with somebody that's dead and then taking those germs and infiltrating the rest of your home or your city. But you're unclean for 7 days, and the 3rd day you would be purify yourself, and then again on the 7th day. And the various law pertaining to when one died, how everything in the tent was unclean for that 7-day period, and that's really the main thing that we read from today's reading. The big takeaway is that the priests were allowed to touch some of the holy things that otherwise a normal human would be put to death, those that were not of the tribe of Levi, of the house of Aaron. And so very critical, very important part of the Word of God here. Pardon me. Excuse me. And so that's probably the main things we just wanted to share. Once again, keep in mind that we're designating between the clean and the unclean, the holy and the unholy. And the priests were certainly set apart to be holy unto the Lord. And that's what God had determined. And so that was their inheritance. The priests, the Levites, didn't have any other inheritance. They weren't given land per se, like the rest of the children of Israel, although they did have a place there given for them to pitch their tents and them to build their houses, but it would have been near the tabernacle, and they were the offering was their payments, the portions of the offerings. And so that is pretty much the gist of it. Heard a wonderful message by J.T. Harry a few years ago at the I believe it was senior youth camp that he was preaching. It was either one of the youth camps, in which he talked about how they didn't have an inheritance, but they got to work amongst the things of God, be a part of the tabernacle, be involved in that, and serve God and serve the people, and that was their compensation, and that there are things that there's really not a money value you can put on it. And so being involved in the ministry and being a blessing to people is something that provides a satisfaction and a joy and a sense of fulfillment, I could say, for being there. You get to share in some of the greatest times in people's lives, at the births, weddings, and the funerals. And I know that those are not the deaths are not the happy times, but to be there and try to bring comfort and peace to somebody at a time when they're having loss in their family is something that is it's a difficult thing to do, and yet it's something that you can feel drawn closer to people than you otherwise would, and it allows you to build bonds and to strive to be a blessing. And so just some of the things there with the priesthood. And just that concludes probably what we have to say about our reading for today for March the 4th. God bless you.